Welcome back to Out There Living. On this episode of Out There Living, we'll be installing two of these 100 amp lithium batteries from iTechworld, and they're SLIMLINE, and geez, they are small. So we're having a look at the iTechworld 100S SLIMLINE battery today. We're going to talk a little bit about the battery, some of the benefits of it, and then we'll show you how we installed it. So we've actually got two of these to go in. One's already in. We had to put that in just because it was so tight with all the wiring and stuff like that. And we'll actually show you how tight it is in there and the small space that we've got that in. So yeah, this is the iTech100S. iTech for iTechworld, 100S for 100 amp hour, and S for SLIMLINE. Now it's a LiFePO 4 battery, which I don't know a great deal about the different types of lithiums, but there is a good demonstration out there on you know, how robust the different batteries are, different types of lithium are, how tolerant to heat they are, and overcharge and stuff like that. So this is a LiFePO 4, which is one of the better lithium batteries. It's safer, less vulnerable to destruction and stuff like that. So the prismatic cell refers to how this battery is constructed. So the orientation in which the cells in this battery put together. What it does, it protects. The cells are protected from each other should something go wrong with the cell. So it's less likely that this whole battery is going to self-destruct should one cell give way, overheat, be ruptured, squashed, cracked, punctured or something like that. There's less chance of this battery really causing dramas. And it also allows them to make this battery in this orientation, in this SLIMLINE orientation. So one of the main reasons we've chosen the 100S is because it's a SLIMLINE. As you can see, it's 110 millimeters wide. So that's nothing. Like, that's so small. It's not even here. For example, it's not even as wide as this drill battery on the Makita. It's almost exactly the same. So good comparison there. If you have a look at that. So 110 millimeters wide. 286 millimeters tall. So yeah, looking at your hand there, it's about 2 cans of beer tall, and 394 millimeters long. So, you know, not much more than a foot, so to speak. So we've been able to get two of these in a tiny little gap behind the fridge there, one on top of the other. And another reason we can do that and we can get it in there is because of the weight of this thing. It's only 12.5 kilos. Look at that. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to do that with an AGM or lead acid or any other type of battery. They're just going to be too heavy. It is really, really light. About 1/3 of the weight of an AGM or a lead acid battery. So where this is 12.5 kilos and you get 100 amps, in other types of batteries you're looking up to 45 kilograms. So it's allowed us to make a less robust shelving system in there to put the batteries on, and they're not going to put on any high excess amounts of weight, and the shelving is just really lightweight. So therefore it's making the whole canopy light. You know, one thing leads to another. So starts with the batteries you use. So we'll talk about what comes with the batteries in the box. So it comes in a box with a bit of padding, got some handles on it, some rope handles, and what we're going to do is just flip the rope out of these batteries. We're going to throw the handles away, just like that, because we don't need them in there, and we'll just store them away somewhere. Comes with some terminal bolts because it's got the threaded terminals in them. And it comes with spring washers. So you can put pretty much whatever orientation of cable lugs on there you want. It's got this little door on the front, we're not actually going to be able to use that, so we'll peel that away and then slide it into the housing. So you can see on the top here, it's got a pass sticker on it, which means it's past quality control. All its checks and balances, measures, tests, stuff like that have all passed. It's all wrapped in plastic. The whole battery's wrapped in this plastic just to protect it, keep it looking nice. You peel that off when you install it. And another good thing about this battery is you can pretty much mount this whatever way you like. You can lay it on its side, you can lay it on its end, you can lay it conventionally like that, because all the padding in this on the four walls and the floor are built all the same, so you can mount it whichever way, and it's going to be able to be mounted like that. The only way they don't recommend mounting it is upside down, because there's less padding on the top. So if you want to mount it any other way, that's fine, but yeah, try to avoid mounting them upside down. Another reason we got the lithium, because this is 100 amps, right? But it's 100 usable amps. So out of that 100 amps, we can use every last amp. Whereas in a AGM or a lead acid, you may only be able to run that down to 50% at best. And every time you go below that 50%, you're taking away from the life of the battery. And speaking of life of the battery, this is good for up to 5,000. They say 4,000 to 5,000 charge cycles. So compare that to an AGM or a lead acid, and you're down to the 400 to 500 charge cycles. It's quite a difference. One other good point about this lithium 100S is it's got a built-in battery management system, which means you can charge this off almost every other charger. So an AGM or a lead acid charge cycle will still charge this battery. It is a genuine drop-in replacement battery. So you don't have to go out and buy all the lithium chargers and that, although it is better if you do, because you get a dedicated lithium charge profile, and it's always just going to be better for the longevity of your battery. So you can improve things by going and buying different chargers, but if you can't afford it straight away and you've just got a AGM charger, you can run that in this battery. I charged these just with a tiny little AC/DC charger overnight, and I didn't have a lithium charge cycle on them, and it got them up to 13.5 volts, like no worries at all. And I'd happily do that again if I had to. So in that battery management system, there's a lot of safety features, such as overcharge protection, over voltage protection, overheat protection, cross polarity protection, over discharge protection. So if you run it down to 100%, it'll always have a little bit in reserve for you to restart this battery. It won't run it totally flat and ruin it. The battery management system will protect itself. But then there is a little process you have to go through to wake the battery up. We can talk about that later. Another thing with this battery is it's really good for high discharge. So what we're going to be drawing from these two batteries is 2,000 watt inverter. One of these batteries alone will service a 2,000 watt inverter, let alone two in parallel. So one of these will service a 2,000 watt inverter, which is going to be big enough to run things like hair dryers, hair straighteners, coffee machines, microwaves or small microwaves. A lot of 240 powered things will run off a 2,000 watt inverter. Going for discharge rate, back to the charge rate, it's got very low resistance in the battery cells, which means this is going to charge 5 times more efficiently, so quicker, and more charge will go in 5 times as much as a lead acid or an AGM battery. So we're going to run 2 of these batteries in parallel, which means you'll run this positive to the positive of the other battery, and this negative to the negative of the other battery, and run them as one big 200 amp battery. Now you can run as many of these batteries in parallel as you want. In this setup that we've got with all the battery monitor system and stuff like that, we could put 10 of these in and still run perfectly fine. So unlimited amounts of batteries in parallel. You could use these in your house or in a massive caravan or anything like that. You know, LED lighting system for your shed, security systems, UPS systems for your computers or stuff like that. So I wanted to do a quick comparison between the iTech100S and a popular slimline AGM that's similar in size and capacity. So I've got the size is at 110 by 284 by 395, exactly the same size. The weight, 11.7 kilos versus 31.4 kilos, around a third of the weight. 100 amp hour, 120 amp hour. Bear in mind that's 100 usable amps, and this is probably more like 65, 70 usable amps at best. So the max charge current, or the recommended charge current for the iTech is 50 amps. And for the AGM, 18.75, significantly less. So your charge times are going to be slower, and that's without taking into account resistance, the efficiency of the absorption of the battery and stuff, all that other stuff that we talked about. Recommended continuous discharge of the iTech100S, 100 amps. Of the AGM, 35 amps. Very significantly different there. So life cycles at 55% discharge of the iTech100S is 8,000 plus, depending on the variables, you know, heat, what charge profile you use, stuff like that. Life cycles of the AGM at 55% discharge, 600 max. Now this, as I said, this is all off charts or graphs or whatever that are on their website. You can find all that out for yourself. None of this is made up. So that's a plus and that's a max, big difference. And you know, it's more than 10 times the life cycles. So this is 100 usable amps here with the iTech100S for $899. To get 100 usable amps in this slimline AGM, you've got to times it by 2 at least to get at least 100 usable amps. So that's going to cost you $578. So slowly catching up, a little bit under. But you are at 62.8 kilos then to get 100 usable amps. So that's your short term. You know, you're gonna be cheaper than the iTech, but you're gonna be, well, a hell of a lot heavier. So short term, yeah, but you're only getting 600 versus 8,000 life cycles. So let's see what it's going to take to get 8,000 life cycles out of this AGM slimline battery. So to get to 8,000 life cycles of 100 usable amps, we've got to use this times 2 here. So 8,000 divided by 600 life cycles is 13.3 times. So 13.3 times the 578 is $7,706.06. Now let's do that as a percentage. Divide that by 100 times divide the cost of the lithium battery by 77%, and you end up with 11.66%. So 11.66% of the cost of the AGM. So long term, makes a lot of sense. All right, moving on. So because we've got 2 of these batteries, we're running them in parallel, which effectively means we're running them as one big 12 volt 200 amp battery. So you get a loop wire, positive to positive, negative to negative. That's what parallel means. And then what we're going to be doing is taking the positive off the top battery and the negative off the bottom battery. So if you were to run any more than 2, you'd take your positive off your first battery and your negative off your last battery, or vice versa. And then every other battery would just be linked with a link wire. Now you don't want to, I say you don't want to run positive to negative, positive to negative. because what that's going to do is run in series, and then your voltage adds up every time you do it. So 12 volt, 24 volt, 36 volt, and so on. And none of this system is designed to run off anything more than 12 volt. So the colors stay together, just remember that much. Now we'll have a look at the cavity where we're going to put this battery, and we'll also have a look at the other battery, the other 100S that's mounted up in the tight space already, so you can see exactly how tight of a spot you can mount the batteries. So we're just in the canopy, and we're going to have a look at the cavity where the two batteries sit. You'll have to excuse the bird's nests in there. We are sort of halfway between filming different things, so the smart monitor, the batteries, the inverter, and the solar controller. So there's wires everywhere at the moment, and we'll just try and explain our way through them. So you can see in there's one of the 100S batteries. It is in the tightest space there. So down the bottom where the second battery will sit, tiny little cavity, plenty of length in there, and we've just got a bit of aluminium angle up the end to stop it sliding around, and then we'll just put a bit of foam in the side of the battery to stop it slapping around, and another bit of angle at this end. So we'll slide it in, and then we'll have a look at it in place. So we've slid the battery in. There it is, sitting on the tray there. Got your two, one up top, one down the bottom. So we'll connect the power to the bottom battery, put a loop wire up to the top battery, comes down into this bus bar, and then distribute it to the accessories and appliances from that bus bar. And then we'll have the negative from the top battery coming down to the bottom battery, from the bottom battery into the smart shunt, and then from the smart shunt into the bus bar, and then all the negatives from the accessories are connected to that bus bar. Both of the iTech100S slimline lithium batteries are in place and connected. In the meantime, we've had to connect the smart shunt as well, so that's another video. You can go back and watch that if you like. But the only bad thing about our setup, and we've done it once the fridge and everything else has been put in place, and that's just, it's a little bit of fiddling around to remove all that. So the one bad thing is that it's not as easy to install all the wires and make it as neat as I would have liked. I'm certainly no auto elect, but I've probably got enough know-how that I can do it and confidently connect everything and not cause any issues. So I'll have a little look at the setup here. So that's the space they're in. I've just got a door that closes and hides everything. You can see there's one up the top there, and then there's one down the bottom there, and we've still got space underneath where we're going to probably put a water pump under there, or you know, you can just slide things in there for a little bit extra storage. So that's 130 millimeters by about 700 millimeters is all you need to get them one on top of the other. So I've put everything back together. It's a little bit messy looking because I've ran the wires for the inverter video that we're going to do and the solar controller video that I'm going to shoot straight after this one. So another thing I didn't mention was when you install the batteries, you've got to make sure they've got the same voltage in them. So we just fully charged the two batteries with the AC DC charger, so the 240 volt charger, overnight, and they got up to 13.5 volts, no worries. When they were at 13.5 volts when we put them in. So one thing we did yesterday that we didn't film, or we didn't mention, it was a bit of an afterthought, was we put this Anderson plug point in here, and that's to give power to the air compressor. But you can also back charge your batteries. That's running through a MIDI fuse and then straight to the bus bar and the positive terminal of the battery, short distance of cable. So you can plug an AC DC charger straight into there and charge them lithium batteries. As I said, the battery management system in the batteries will allow you to use any charger as long as you don't exceed your 14.7 charge volts, which is most AGM charge profiles are up to 14.7 anyway, and lead acid are 14.5-ish or something like that. So another thing that we can use this Anderson plug for, because it's wired straight to the battery terminals, not that I think it's going to happen, but if this battery does go into safe mode for any reason, if it goes flat or anything like that, is you need to jump start them to reset them. So you can do that a few ways. So we'll just touch on them. We won't go into the detail or the method. If you want to see the full method, you can download the user manual from iTechworld.com.au. So the first method is just being a good old jump start. You can hook your jumper leads onto there, and then to the positive and then the negative of a battery, leave it on for 60 seconds, take it off, and the battery should be out of safe mode. The second one is you can get a iTechworld 2000 amp jump starter, so you can use that. And the next method is you can get a bypass cable and run that to your start battery, and that's a full-time thing. So all you do is you put that in, you wire it in, and then you just push the button and away it goes. And then the last one is you can use a battery charger. Now there is a method for doing it with the battery charger. As I said, if you want to read the manual, you can download it from iTechworld.com.au. So the batteries are in, they're connected in parallel, they're running through a iTechworld BM500 battery monitor, and they've been in overnight with the fridge on its lowest setting, the canopy lights are on, and we also have been charging headlamps through the USB outlets, and we'll just take a look at what sort of consumption the batteries have used. So started at 13.5 volts last night, and now we're down to 13.23. So we're drawing 1.7 amps at the moment, and we are down to 97%. So with the 85 litre Bushman's fridge, the lights running and the headlamp charging, we've only used 3% of the batteries, which if you do the math is about 6 amps, 3 amps out of each battery. So that's pretty good. So that's typically, you know, what you would use over a night if you don't do any cooking or anything off an inverter, induction cooktop or anything like that. So if you are thinking about getting a battery, let's recap on the benefits of the iTech100S. First being that it is slimline. It's going to tuck away into those small spaces behind seats, small cavities, and you won't even know it's there. Next one being the weight, 12.5 kilos, about a third of the weight of an equivalent capacity AGM. And when I say equivalent capacity, we can use 100% of these 100 amps in these batteries. You go to an AGM, you're only able to use 50%. So to get 100% in AGM, you're getting double the weight. Looking at the charging's about 5 times more efficient in the 100S than it is in other types of batteries such as AGM. So short trips and low solar light conditions, you're still going to utilise what charge you've got coming in. So if you've got a solar panel or you do a lot of short trips to and from the shops, or you know, day tripping, stopping, sightseeing, you're going to absorb charge while you're doing that. Next one brings me into the life cycles. Life cycles on this is about 10 times more than other types of batteries. So up to 5,000 charge cycles you can get out of this. Then you've got the added benefit of the battery management system. Along with all the safety features and protections that are built into the battery management system, you can also use these batteries as a genuine drop-in. So if you've already got a charger set up and it doesn't have a lithium profile, the battery management system in the 100S is going to take care of that for you. So you can connect the 100S in parallel in infinite numbers, as high as you want to go. You can connect them in series, only up to 48 volts. And last but not least is 100S has little to no shelf life, meaning as long as them batteries are charged above 80% and you've got them in your caravan or your boat or something like that and you don't use it regularly, you can isolate the batteries, and when you reconnect it, the charge is going to be as you left it. So if you want to get the iTechworld 100S or any other 12 volt gear, head over to itechworld.com.au, and when you get to the checkout, punch in the discount code Out There Living and you'll get 10% off your order. Head over to Instagram, Facebook and TikTok, follow us there. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up to date with all our YouTube videos. And just remember, whatever it takes, get out there living. Hooroo!